Well, hello and greetings, everyone. Welcome to Step into the Miraculous. I am your miraculous host, Joan of Angels. And we have an exciting show today. We're going to be actually talking to like an angelic, she calls herself a mutt, okay? She's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you are going to adore her as much as I already am. Okay, so guys, if you are new to my channel or you've been here before, welcome back. And please like, subscribe, and share so we get the content out into the world and we can grow Joan of Angels so that there's more of us angels around the world helping people remember who they are, why they're here, and to really start awakening to our destiny. Because guys, 2022, our time is now. So guys, if you are concerned about who you are, what you're doing, what your purpose is, check it out at joanofangels.com and get your free ebook over there, please. And it'll be fun to kind of work with all of you. All right. So I want to tell you about our guest today. And actually, I need to take a deep breath before I tell you about our guest because I realize I'm so excited. I have not even been able to center around her. So take a deep breath with me. Yes, so that when she comes on, it'll just be this circle of light and she'll actually feel it. All right, good. So take another deep breath. Good, and then let it all out. You know, it's so easy, guys, to just get carried away and get so excited. So coming back to center is a really good thing. All right, so our guest today is a starseed. She is a channel. She is a multi-dimensional medium and a galactic peace ambassador, all qualities that are actually really important nowadays. She holds frequencies of unity consciousness. She grounds them into the human experience, into the 3D world. So she takes her fifth dimension and above and literally grounds it down here. She is an Ascension Contact specialist. So she's really niched this down and she communicates with higher realms, assist you to expand those innate connections within yourself. So her mission includes inspiring you to shift perspectives, expand your consciousness, live your soul's purpose, and she reminds you that you've trained lifetimes for what you're here to do. So I'm really happy to introduce you guys to Bridget, Renee, Holiday. And welcome, Bridget.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
It's so funny. You use the word mutt, like of all of the
Cosmic
things, but I
mutt.
think you're a jack of all trades. I think you're like a jack of all trades. You're hitting every type of interdimensional frequency there might be, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I hold angelic frequencies. I've been activated, which just means I am conscious of holding the frequencies of Pleiades, Sirius, Arcturus, Lyra, and Andromeda. And I know there are more, which is interesting, which is why I say I'm kind of like a cosmic, I'm pretty sure I've been all the things, right? So, and I'm currently all of the things, right? So we just use that to ground into this human experience, bringing all those frequencies in. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of interesting that it could be chaotic for some people. I get that. So you said that you've been activated, and now, and so I want to go back to that. Like, what does that mean you were activated? How did you get activated? How did you find out you have all of this within you?
Well, thank you for that question. So I was born and communicating with angelics. So most of my young childhood was predominantly with angelic beings. And I mean, they would show themselves to me in energetic form and communicate with me. My earliest memory that I accessed not too long ago was at being an infant and communicating with 3 right after I had come into the world. So but I've always had a large collective of beings that have kind of braided frequency in. And for the longest time, I just saw them. I knew them by frequency, and I knew that there were groups within the collective. But I usually saw them as beings of light. And then as I got older, Ascended Masters stepped in and said, I am Yeshua, I'm Kuan Yin, different things like that. And then and another group came forward when I was when I think I had graduated high school, and I was starting to kind of feel out what my thing spiritually was, and I landed on Celtic Shamanism, and then all of a sudden there were fae, just coming out of the woodwork, and dragons and different things like that, right? So and later, as an adult, I had 2 contact experiences with 2 different types of star beings. And it was over a period of 3 hours. So one, and then 3 hours later, another one. And that activated my star seed, just me understanding that I'm a star seed. Immediately, my life started shifting. My inner world began to shift. And I was like, oh my gosh, things are changing. And then after that, more remembrances have come through. And that's what I call, well, it comes in different ways, but an activation is just understanding that you are this person, you are another being outside of the human experience, whether that comes through remembrances or maybe like a quantum hypnosis session, or through meditation and consciousness traveling. It's just an activation within your own consciousness, and that's how I view mine. So I have been activated with all of those different beings that I mentioned, right? Those different races. And I know that I hold more. So I'm very aware that I have parallel lives out within, the universe and beyond. I'm multi-universal. So I do know that I have multi-universal lives, which I think we all do. I think I just dive into it, right?
Or maybe you came in, hun, as a navigator of all of these universes, because then I'm going, well, what do you do? Well, there's 2 things happening. Okay. But how do you manage? Let's talk about that. How do you manage then all of these multi-dimensional personalities of yourselves?
Well, they're not me as Bridget, right? So they're aspects of my soul, and that's how I perceive it. So that helps me within the linear experience. I know I'm in oneness with them. I know that we share the same, main soul, like the same, I think what they call it, oversoul or whatever they call it these days. I'm not big on all the lingo, but so I don't view it as like a multiple personality kind of thing. It's a connection, right? And it's a oneness connection. And for me, oneness is it's really natural for me, I think. Now, it hasn't always been that way in my life, right? I'm human too. So, and I, of course, I have things just like everyone else does, right? Where I'll go through something and I'm like, oh, what am I choosing today? I wake up in a funky mood because something's going on in my life, just like everyone else, right? But it's the way we shift through it, right? And how quickly we are able to transmute and heal and process and move through the situation. So for me, it was a lot messier when I was younger, right? And then as I've gotten older, I've gotten more of a handle on it. And, it's more of an integration now and less of this thing added to this thing, added to this thing. I'm embodying more of it. And I think when we ground ourselves into our human
Mhm.
experience, as starseeds, a lot of starseeds, and I was that way as well, we live in the ethers, right? And we don't ground down. This intense experience can sometimes be too much, right? So I've learned over time, and I've also really worked through a lot of my trauma, right? So I'm fairly clear with most of that. I do have things that arise here and there, but I do inner work all day long, right? Anytime anything arises, I take a moment, and if I can't, I usually set aside time for it. But when I don't, my physical body will start to tell me that there's something that it's ready for me to move through. So I'll start to feel like I'm coming down with something or whatever. And I actually had that happen recently, which was really interesting. And it had been a while. So I'm like, oh, yeah. And then some of my friends actually helped me move through it too. And I think that's another thing. I have a strong community, right? So it helps to balance. For me, it's about finding the balance within all of the things, and it has not always been that way for me, right? I've played in massive extremes throughout my life,
Mhm.
and now I'm in a place where it's about balance, it's about unity, it's about sovereignty, being a conscious creator, and working my way through it, right?
I love it. As you're talking, I keep saying like your name here on the screen, and on the right, it's like bridge tree. And it's, oh God, it is true. She's like a bridge. You are like a bridge between worlds, a bridge between maybe sentient kinds of beings. And into these interdimensions, because I kind of feel it around you. And even looking at your background, I just feel like somehow you're like the mistress of these interdimensional travels.
I do love traveling. I
And
do
are
it
you
every
doing
night.
light language? Are you doing light language with your hands? We have a comment about it, and I was noticing that you were kind of
What's really
experiencing.
funny is there are certain things that I've been doing from childhood with my hands. And since being on Clubhouse, which is a drop-in audio only app for those that don't know what it is,
Mm-hmm.
I've found a light language. A lot of people within my community do speak light language, right? And they are conduits for it. And I was always like, no, I don't really do that. I mean, I've had, a handful of times where it's just come out of me and I'm like, what is this? But I mean, I think it's like 4 times ever, right? So, um, but there are things that I've always done energetically, right? Even from a small child,
Right.
like there were things that I would do with my hands in my hand movement, and there are tones that I would sing to adjust my own energetics. And I learned part of the tones from the angels. So I didn't realize I was doing a version of light language that didn't have language, right? So didn't have what we consider language, I should say, until some of my friends were like, well, that is light language, and I was like, oh, I had no clue.
It is light language. And I do the
Mm,
same thing. I notice that when I'm really not, when I'm physically not present, but spiritually present, and they've taken
mhm.
over, I do the same thing. And even more so now. And it is funny about that light language, being able to allow it to come through verbally, but it's coming through in everything that you do. And I didn't know that it started so much on Clubhouse, but what do you do on Clubhouse? I've seen you, like, I should really drop in more on your Clubhouses. I see you talking about UFOs with Alan Steinfeld. I see you talking about consciousness over here. How would you describe your Clubhouse life?
Well, okay, so Clubhouse, for those of you that don't know, is a drop-in audio only app. So you really have your voice and you have like a bio picture and a bio, and you can link your other social media to it. So you can come on, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you can listen, hop into what we call clubs that create rooms within the club. And I have a club that I co-create with 5 other activated starseeds called Awake and Ascending. And we really talk about all of it. So we talk about everything, to what we've labeled the ascension, right? Which is that evolution in consciousness that we're experiencing right now. And I think always, but especially right now. And we talk about, we have Namesh is an Akashic Records reader. So we have Brittany Lynn, Namesh Radia, Sonia Lee, Ditton Bricker, and Faye K is what her name is on there, and myself. And we hold very high vibratory containers for conversations and sharing and teaching rooms, all that runs the entire gamut, right? Like, so all of it. Um, we feel like it's really important. There are people all over the world that are experiencing these things, and to find community
Mm-hmm.
and people who can, yeah, we teach, but it's not like we're teaching students. That's not how any of us feel about this. Like, we are helping the teachers remember that they're teachers. You know what I mean? So it's like we're talking to other equals. And we take that elitism out of it that I know can be in, various communities. But definitely I've seen it in the spiritual communities as well. But we're in that unity consciousness. And that's what we hold the frequencies of when we create the container for the room. And
Mm-hmm.
then we hold conversations from, like I said, everything from anything related to ascension stories, like what you're going through right now in ascension, but also like the Akashic records. Namesh does a room every month where he opens the records and does a group channeled message for the entire group and anyone who's listening to the replays. I co-create a room, usually with Sonia Lee, where we teach people how to connect deeply to specifically their star family within their soul team, which is what I call that collective of beings that are here to guide and assist us, that are our friends and family from beyond the human existence. And when you can connect with one of them, you can connect with any of them, and actually anyone else, right? So we do that every month as well to give people that experience. My team and I actually came up with it And they call it really simply step in, step out. You know how they're sometimes just real simple about names. So we do that, but we do a lot of other things too. And really, it's just one of those safe, supportive, loving environments for you to come and listen to other people share their stories, share your own if you are comfortable, and speak your truth and learn about sovereignty and learn about, intuition and all of those things. If you're, I don't know, I could go on and on about this, but I really love it. And I feel like it is a real service. There's a fairly large consciousness community on Clubhouse, and it's
Mhm.
global. And I feel like it's a real service, and that's why we do it, to be in service, right? So yeah,
I'm going to have to show up there now. The
it's
thing
fun.
about the thing about Clubhouse for me is that somehow it's set up on my cell phone that at random times suddenly I'm in like your chat room. Seriously. And I could wake up and hear this happened in the beginning till I and I'd hear your voice. And you have a very distinctive voice, Bridget. I think it's specific. Like it is encoded with certain energies of high consciousness. There's a freedom of spirit and it's extremely high. And so Clubhouse is such an important forum for you because you've been given the voice to manage that. So it's really exciting. Clubhouse, guys, is an app on your cell phone. So go to the App Store. It started in Apple, but I think now you can have it on any cell phone. And it is a very interesting format. But I noticed, so you're talking about starseeds, and I know
Uh-huh.
that you tell us you're a starseed. Can you define starseeds and what does that mean to know what kind of starseed we are?
Yeah, so that's another thing we talk about that for some reason I didn't mention is we talk about normalizing the conversations around interdimensionals, extra-dimensionals, ultra-dimensionals, and extraterrestrials. And in that comes starseeds and walk-ins and, hybrids and things like that. So for me, I identify as what we have labeled starseed, right? And when it first became like a thing where people were like, yes, that's me, I asked my soul team what it meant at that time, and it's kind of a technical response, but they said the people who identify as starseed currently, meaning in this little time period, are holding, they are an open container for higher dimensional energies to flow through and ground into Gaia, and for information and knowledge and light and wisdom, which is what light is, right, to flow from Gaia to the higher dimensions. So we are quite literally a conduit. Now, how I perceive it is we are people that understand that Earth is not our primary home, that we have come here in service, and that we are here to help raise the consciousness and the vibration of the planet. We are a collective, right? So there are, I've received so much information about this over the years, but there are entire worlds and dimensions that are very sparsely populated because they are here assisting us in the earth experience. And some of us have incarnated many times on earth, and some of us have been what Dolores Cannon calls imprinted with lives, which you can't tell the difference. And there's no reason, right? Which kind of explains why we find so many Cleopatras in hypnosis, right? It's the blueprint, right? But for us, we activate within our things. So we can be grid workers, like if you hear these words, and you'll know exactly what I mean if you do this, where we are working with the grids, the multidimensional grids, both for Earth and beyond. There's so many different things that you can be if you're a starseed. But here's some easy ways to kind of see if you're resonant with it. If you, as a child and still as an adult, have a deep longing for home. I mean, like a really like heart-wrenching longing for home, even when you're around and surrounded by people who love you deeply and intensely. Where you have this longing for home that is just, it's almost like a broken heart, but a little bit different, right? If you spent a lot of time in your life looking up into the night sky, looking at star systems, and especially specific ones that you're focused toward. Now, in my personal opinion, in my personal perception, every human on the planet is technically a starseed, because what my team has told me over the years, and I'm putting some things together for you here, is that this is a newer planet in a newer solar system, in a newer in a newer galaxy, in a newly created-ish, newly, I'll say new with with some quotes, compared to other places within the universe. And they also have said my entire life that we are infinite beings having a human experience, choosing a human experience. So if we are infinite in nature, and this is a relatively new part of the universe, then odds are we have lived and are living beyond the earth experience, right? And so it
Mm-hmm.
will not surprise me if in the coming years we find everyone has, a cosmic lineage, or lineages, right? But I think for those of us, we're here to do specific things. And often it's multiple things. We have people that do a lot of healing with Gaia. They're a starseed, but they're earth focused as well. I like to
Mm-hmm.
call them earth starseeds because they have that very cosmic energy, but also really grounded earthy energy. But we have, angelic starseeds as well. Many people who identify as an angelic and as holding angelic frequencies also will communicate with, say, Andromeda or Pleiades or whatever, right? So it's kind of this beautiful symphony of experiences. But yeah, there's so many books out there, I think, right now too, that'll give you kind of an example of what some people feel, different races or species are like, so that you can identify. I know they have quizzes online and different things like that. I see them pop up on my stuff when I pull up my desktop. But yeah, that's what I would say so far.
I think that's kind of interesting. I'm actually looking up that conference we're doing, Beyond Disclosure. I can't find the
Mhm.
link to it at this moment, but people really do want to know things like, what kind of system did I come, my galactic origins? Am I Pleiadian? Am I Syrian? Many people, I think, are a little bit of this and a little bit of that. It's just
Mhm.
like humans are a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So I think we have the potential to have come from different parts of the galaxy.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And multi-universal. I do beyond quantum healing hypnosis and I work with starseeds. That is not how it started, but that's what ended up happening. And I have people that come to me and are curious. They may not, have a thing about it, and they'll find out in the session. So I've found in our sessions, less and less are there human lives that are visited, and more are they experiencing more cosmic, lives, because it's time for us to remember who we are. And that message has been playing out, I'm sure from the higher dimensions for decades, longer
For
now, but
decades.
yeah. Hmm.
I think that was the whole purpose of this pandemic, was to speed up the consciousness and also probably the bifurcations of the timeline, but to
Hmm.
really have people kind of have a deep dive into waking up. So So you do starseed activations then, really? So you say, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. You work with starseeds to help them remember
Hmm.
then more about their cosmic and galactic origins. And I'm thinking more then about their purpose, why they're here now.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't, it's not like I don't offer it in a session per se, but it happens in all of my sessions, and just from talking to me, right? Because of the codes and frequencies that I hold. And this is part of my activations, my starseed activations, right? So, and we all have this. There's not a single person on the planet that when we're speaking, our codes and frequencies aren't, being exchanged with one another. So, at least from my understanding. So, yes, within hypnosis session, as you read earlier, my team told me that I'm an Ascension Contact specialist, and it makes sense. And I actually have a friend who might be listening right now. He was supposed to, who one day in a Clubhouse room was like, "I figured something out about you," and I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "It's about your name." His name is on Clubhouse. He's Ben, but he was like, "You're a bridge to the ETs because my name is spelled Bridge
Well,
with
you
ET,
are. You
right?
are a bridge.
And
Yes.
it's really funny, but it's true, right? It's becoming more and more true. And I spend a lot of time normalizing these conversations because it's time for us to move beyond all of the, the illusion of separation and forgetting, right? Those veils, it's time for us to step beyond that and remember who we are so that we can move into our higher dimensional experience and expression as humans. We're in this monumental period of humanity's evolution and consciousness where we are quite literally in every now moment deciding the way we are going to have a human experience going forward from this time period. And that is amazing. And part of
Right.
that is understanding who we are within the cosmos, within the universe, within the multiverses, right? So,
Mhm.
and we're bringing it in baby-sized bites right now, I think, and we're barely scratching the surface, honestly, of our true. I mean, I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface of our true multidimensionality, ultra dimensionality.
It is really exciting because the veils are thin and it's easier to have more memories now. And with people
Mhm.
like you out there as a galactic activation specialist,
Mhm.
something like that, right? Wait, I didn't write it down.
Ascension Contact. It's okay. It's okay. It all
But just
works.
all of the above and the galactic peace ambassador as an Ascension Contact. So I remember on New Year's Eve a few years ago when I was told that I was a portal. What was it? It wasn't. So now I'm getting your words into my consciousness, but I was an Ascension Master Specialist because I was taking
Mhm.
people through the portals.
Mhm.
And it's very exciting to wake up and realize that you came here really for a reason. And I see that there's a lot of young people that adore you. You have quite a following, I think, of people who've, when in my generation, we just knew that we didn't belong here, but there was nowhere we could go to find out what that meant or to find out if there were other people that felt that kind of, you took it personally, like, oh, well, maybe I'm in the wrong family, but you didn't really get that whole galactic connection. So I think you have a lot of wisdom for young people growing into themselves and in just connecting to you and understanding all of this.
It was a long journey, right? So, I mean, it was
Mhm.
lonely too, a lot. Even though I was surrounded by people that I loved and that loved me, there were aspects of my life that were really lonely. So I can, and I've played in so many different parts of humanity, right? I've done high highs, low lows. So I feel like I have this, it's all prepared me for what I'm here to do now, right? To be of service in this way to help others find their balance and to awaken, right? So the way I perceive it is that we all hold slumbering aspects of consciousness as well as awakened aspects. And once we awaken an aspect of our consciousness, that's not where it stops. It continues to expand with consciousness, right? And for me, that's just bringing more of the light of our soul into our human experience. So light, the way it's always been explained to me by my team, is knowledge, wisdom, code keys, frequencies, right? It is all of those high vibratory things that we hold from outside of our human experience, which means that on earth we don't come here, this experience and expression, we don't come here unless we have masteries over masteries over masteries over masteries, both within the human experience and beyond it, in other planes of existence and other we'll say dimensional experiences, right? Multi-dimensional experiences. So it's all about remembering those masteries and recognizing them and becoming conscious of them so that we can utilize them to, one, fill our own cup, but also to serve, to assist other people. And that is that nudge that people have right now that's coming from deep within them, that's like there has to be something more. I'm here for something more. That's what that is. It's waking up to what that is, and that holds purpose, that holds mission, what we label purpose and mission, right? So yeah, that's what I
Beautiful
assist people to
container.
do.
I can see that you have a very beautiful frequency.
Oh, thank
And
you.
in the very beginning, I think one of the first things you said when you came on was something about a Celtic goddess, the Celtic angel.
Celtic
You use that.
Shamanism. Mhm.
Yes, the Celtic shamanism. And you have such a resonance of that energy. It's not just your red hair. It really reminds me of the fairy tales I would read as a young child, and of, you know, the queen of the fairy kingdom with her long hair and her magical expression. It's like you carry this resonance of many dimensional frequencies. So it's actually really all comes together in you. It's really beautiful. And
Oh,
this
thank
is your
you.
lifetime to share this wisdom and to call the tribe to do this. And it is for all of us. I mean, this is the time of mastery, the time of this conscious ascension that's actually happening now. And it's so exciting to be a part of it and to have you here on the show, actually, to talk about it too, because we are stepping into the miraculous, which is a dimensional frequency also.
Yes.
So yeah, so we're all drawn to this. We're drawn to this energy. So how can people find you? Give us a clue. How can people find you, and what are they going to want to do when they find you?
So you can find me. My website is rolling across at the bottom of the screen, but for those that might not be able to see it, you can find me at bridgetreneholiday.com, and that is the word bridge with one T, Renee with three E's, as Alan Stein. I always say two E's because people will spell it A-E. So it's BRIDGETRENEE holiday with two L's, HOLLIDAY.com. And my service soul work is beyond quantum healing hypnosis, which is, it's a fast track in your consciousness evolution. I call it a catalytic force for consciousness expansion. It is, it's a fast track. And it's one of my favorite things to do. I have two types of sessions right now. Right now I'm running a special Beyond Quantum Healing session that is a shorter version, and it's for a much more discounted price. Hold on one second. Sorry, I'm clearing something, and I feel like there's something going on with throat chakras right now, and a lot of the people that are watching, and I'm clearing it.
Just pull the plugs out of everyone. Pull out your plugs. Come on.
I'm like, let's just do the things. I'm like, woo!
I'm just going to remove all this while
you
she's
guys
talking.
need to sing more. Sing, sing, sing. That helps with the throat chakra. And it helps open the heart as well. So also awakening and ascension mentoring is something that I do as well. So if you're ready to shift perspectives, release limitations, explore and hone those innate connections, expand your consciousness, and remember that you're already whole. That's what we do in Awaken Ascending. Awaken Ascending. That's what we do in Awakening and Ascension Mentoring. I've got Clubhouse on the brain always. And then I'm also a multidimensional energy healer, and that looks different for different people. It really depends on what they need. So I hold many frequencies that I am a conduit for, and I work with people's soul teams to align and balance as needed. I call in the healing teams for that, and often they'll have me do things with them, and I work on multiple levels at the same time. So I could be essentially like standing right next to you, even though we're on camera with each other. But I could also be working on your overlays and the holographics and things like that simultaneously. So it just depends on what you need. I do a lot of clearings, activations, upgrades. Those are my thing. But also within that activation and upgrade, it's bringing new energetic technology online that you're ready for. I find most people do not know to ask for certain things for themselves multidimensionally. So when they come to me, they have, just this long line of things that are waiting for them. And so we do our best. I work with the soul teams to help that integration process be as seamless as possible, and just bring it all online, and then anything that's ready that's new, right? So that's what I do in multidimensional energy healing, but also in Beyond Quantum Healing hypnosis. So just a little bit of both with that. And you can find me on Clubhouse. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm there almost every night.
Clubhouse. And you're also on Instagram. You have quite a beautiful channel on Instagram. Guys, she is also going to be a speaker on our Beyond UFO Disclosure event, which is, I think, and I didn't think ahead of time to grab the link for it, but the event itself is on. Well, I'll put the links down for you guys. You're going to really want to hear it. It's on Wednesday, February 16th, and Bridget's going to be channeling and talking about what does that mean beyond UFO disclosure, in other words. So now we know they're here. And I think you're going to do a great job because you seem to really be in contact with them, Bridget. So
I'm excited. I'm still kind of contemplating what I'm going to do, but I have a basic idea, because it's a little far away, right? So, I think, with that, a book that has really rocked I'm new to ufology. I only started in about April of this last year. So, I know the basics that everybody knows, right? But, I've kind of dived deep. I have, friends like Alan Steinfeld. It's, a wealth of information. And then Roderick Martin from Extraterrestrial Evidence, soon to be Why the Big Secret, is one of my friends as well. And so between them and a number of other people, I'm learning more and more about it, but I know it from a totally different perspective, right? And there was a book that came out recently called Skinwalkers at the Pentagon, and it has rocked the ufology world in a lot of ways, at least from what I'm hearing, right? So, and I think it's because it combines all of the things that those of us that have been in the consciousness community and been working with all of these different energetics and types of beings and consciousnesses have understood for a while, which is, I think, Bess put the link up for you in chat.
I just found it.
Or Rosalind. I'm sorry, Rosalind. Yeah, okay. Thank you. So,
Thanks, Rosalind.
My eyes are blurry from the light, Rosalind. Sorry about that. So basically, we know that it's just different aspects of multidimensionality, right? And that hauntings and, people without a body and, lower vibrating entities and, people that are, interdimensional, extra-dimensional, ultra-dimensional, and, extraterrestrial, we understand that we're a multidimensional being. They are all dimensional beings, multidimensional in one way or another, right? So it's all connected, but for them it was like a big deal. So I think that'll be a good conversation to have during that.
It's going to be a great conversation.
Explaining how it works.
Guys, check out that link, and I think you're going to enjoy the conference. That's all I can say. You're going to enjoy seeing our friend Bridget, Renee Holiday, really sharing this information and this wisdom with us. Bridget, thank you so much. I just so appreciate your energy and your love. You're shining. I don't know that you have just a shining enthusiasm and super energy that people just love. You wake them up just by your presence and your voice. So don't forget that. So thank you for showing up on our show. I really appreciate you.
Oh, I'm so excited. Thank you for co-creating in this way. And thank you for asking me to do this. And hello, everybody.
Sweet. All right, guys, let's give her a big hand. I kind of want you to like her to feel like there's this huge audience. Well, there is a huge audience because it's not just us, but it happens to be your guides, my guides, her guides, all cheering her on because she's another soul that's doing what she came here to do, helping to wake up all of you. So you guys wake up to do what you came here to do, so that because you're waking up to do what you came here to do, then we have a planet of more awakened souls living on purpose, and the ascension is going to go much faster as we find our own kind and we really raise that frequency. So check her out. Do sign up, have a session with her, let her work her magic with you. I think you'll feel free, and definitely write down that conference or check out the link and make sure you come and join us on that conference. So meanwhile, guys, this has been another episode of Step into the Miraculous, where we connect with people who are doing inspirational things around the world, this planet, other planets, this life, past life, future lives, but so we can tune in and kind of see where we are in our own process and our own evolution on the planet rather. So not only check her out, but make sure you like, subscribe, and share this YouTube channel. Thank you very much. And also check out joanofangels.com. Step into the miraculous there. Remember who you are and why you are here as we are on our path going ever upwards. So thanks for being here for another session of Step into the Miraculous. And I just love you all so much. Have a blessed, beautiful, and miraculous day.